So let's see how the battle ended. So we're gonna go ahead and just, well, first I want to do my move, see what I would have done elsewise. So moving forward, and they have a conglomeration of commanders just sitting here. So I'm gonna snag all of them real quick. Looks like they weren't doing too much use down this way. And then if I would continue, I would have moving up here, pushed around their the enemy's flanks, and isolated these guys. But let's go ahead and accept the termination bid. And the time limit is reached for this scenario. So let's see. Oh wow! So it was a Confederate victory, obviously. But let's see what the enemy's disposition was like. So they had a bunch of commanders massed here who weren't with their commands necessarily. 6 Michigan, 30 is Massachusetts. So why were they back there is a bit confusing. These regiments were beat to hell. But again, why were they focused back here, and they could have been on the front line? They could have also been routed and recently reformed. And then we had a sneak force here of some routed units that were rejoining. But looking at all of the enemy units, I mean, they're pretty beat to hell. I mean, taking some pretty heavy casualties, high fatigue rates. But looking at enemy's organization, then there's 7th Vermont together, 6 Michigan, 6 Michigan, 30's Massachusetts. So they did decent unit coordination, but maybe I annihilated some of these units over here. But all in all, I would say this scenario is very difficult for the Union forces, just because the troop quality is around the same, but you're outnumbered by a little over 1,000. But I probably would have fought this scenario differently. I mean, I'm a true believer of the idea of when you're too weak to defend, you should attack. So I would have used my advantage that I had. We had rough parity in artillery overall. We had close to the same amount of artillery. I think the enemy may have had a few more sections more. So maybe try to use that to your advantage. As I was coming up this way, do a rough defense or around the swamp, but then maybe do an offense when possible. But yeah, by ceding the initiative to me, I mean, and going on the passive defense, he really allowed me to use maneuver to the best ability. But he did pick a good defensive position, and this wasn't a bloodless battle. I mean, I did lose 584 to 998, and that's considering the fact I had the initiative and was able to choose how the fighting would be. So again, I enjoyed this scenario. I would recommend this though for some pretty, I mean, despite this small size, I'd really recommend it for experienced players, especially on the Union side. You really are going to have a lot of tough choices. And I mean, falling back was a good option, but again, I would have probably tried to get the initiative to try to keep the enemy on the back foot, because I mean, with my Confederate strength and numbers, I was able to pin them down in certain places, then use my extra elements that weren't directly engaged to maneuver, which worked to my great effect. But anyways, thanks for tuning in, and thanks for Vic for playing this scenario. Really appreciate it, and let's go ahead and move on to another one, shall we?